want to take just a minute to talk to you about another way to read and write to text files. It's not as efficient really, but it's much shorter and straightforward than the buffer. It still is only dealing with text files, but the methods you use to read and write are already known to you. You've already been using them for a while. So let's look at reading a file that already exists. Okay, so here we're going to use the scanner. The scanner is going to be not only for console input, but file input also. And the same methods are used on both. It's just a matter of where's the data coming from. So the next int can work for a keyboard or it can work for a file. So I still have to create a scanner object for the keyboard, system.in. I ask for the file name, and you have to type the extension also, the type, and I bring it in. Now here, just like any other read, you have to open the file. So I tell it file, here's my object for the file, is a new file. And here I'm taking the default path, so I'm not messing around with the path statement. Now, in order to make the scanner work for a file also, it's still a scanner. I still have an object, but its input is the file name, the one I've got right here. So when I say next int or next line or whatever method I use, it determines where the data comes from by the object name. So when I use the console, I say keyboard, because that's the name of the object for the keyboard. When I tell it I want to come from a file, I put input file in front of it. Now again, I don't know how many records it has in it, so I'm going to loop it while my input file has next. That means there's something there when I say the word next. Because remember, next, open and close parenthesis, means it takes everything on your input line or your record till it hits a space. So this one, I'm just bringing in strings. I'm bringing in a whole line for the strings, because that's all it's in. Each record is the friend's name. Okay? And I'm printing the friend's name. But this reads from the input file an entire line. If I just had one that I wanted to read in, then I would tell it next. And that means I only type the name, the first name in, or the last name in. Okay? If I had a name and a number after it, like maybe my records are going to hold Gail, and then how old am I? Okay, so that's a next and an int. I could still bring the whole thing in as a string and then split it out as long as I had commas in between it. But I could also say I've got an int and it's the age, and it's going to be input file dot int. Oh, sorry, next int. And of course my n on my next is lowercase, because that's a method. Okay, now what this would do, it would read in Gail, put it in my friend name, 56, put it in age, and then it would print it out. Again, I could load this into an array for later use. I could do whatever I want to it. So I could go in here and say the friend name plus, I can put a space in here, age. Now that's going to print from the file the friend name and the age. if I had a double that was stored. So in my file, I had Gale 56, and then 3.98 is my GPA. Then below this one, I would just put a double. Input file dot next double. And that would be reading one at a time. Now again, I could read this whole thing in as a string and split it, because there's a space in between each one, into a single dimensional array. I could still do that. But this is just a little bit shorter and straightforward because you don't have as many commands and streams that you're instantiating. You just have a file and the scanner. Now when I want to read, again, same thing. But here, I still have the file to open it, and I give it the file name. I can check to see if the file exists already. Maybe I'm writing it from scratch. But this will tell me if it already exists and get out. But if it doesn't exist, then I create the print writer. And instead of using system.out.println, or println, I'll put output file.println. So here, the friend's name, and if I again had an age in there, I wanted a comma or a space, I can put that there. So that says I'm going to a file, and then I just use my regular print line, and then what I want to print. And you keep on doing this until either you type in a sentinel value or a certain number of times. You got to remember to close these, because if I don't close it, it doesn't give me any errors, it doesn't give me any problems, but it does not flush the buffer and write the data. So this is just a quick one on a different way to do a read-write than what is presented inside the text material. Again, not as efficient, but it'll get the job done.